Captain Lee Dae-ho stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the stars through the wide window. The Harmony's edge moved slowly through space toward another fight that wasn't theirs. He had done this so many times before. Two alien races were angry at each other again, and the humans had to fix it. "Captain, we're getting close to the border," said his officer, Lieutenant Kim Soo-jin. She looked tired. They all looked tired these days. Lee nodded. "Any word from the Keth Empire or the Nakari Syndicate?" "Both sides are still shooting at each other. The Confederation wants us to stop them before it gets worse." Lee almost laughed, but it wasn't funny anymore. The humans were always the ones who had to stop fights. The other alien races in the galaxy called them the Peacekeepers. It sounded nice, but Lee knew what it really meant. It meant the humans were the ones who had to risk their lives to save aliens who hated each other. The communication screen lit up. A large, angry face appeared. It was General Thok of the Keth Empire. His skin was red and covered in thick scales. His eyes were small and mean. "Humans!" Thok yelled. "The Nakari dogs have attacked our mining station. You will make them pay for this." Before Lee could answer, another screen opened. This time it was Admiral Vess from the Nakari Syndicate. She looked like a giant insect with 6 arms and sharp teeth. "Captain Lee," she said in her buzzing voice, "the Keth pigs destroyed one of our trade ships. We demand justice." Lee had heard this before. Both sides always claimed the other started the fight. Both sides always wanted the humans to take their side. Both sides always acted like children. "General Thok, Admiral Vess," Lee said calmly. "We will investigate what happened. Please stop all attacks while we work." "Stop?" Thok laughed. It was an ugly sound. "You humans are so soft. In the old days, we would have crushed the Nakari by now." "Soft?" Vess clicked her teeth together. "Yes, humans are weak. But I suppose even weak creatures can be useful sometimes." Lee felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his voice calm. "We want to help both of you find a solution that works." Both aliens laughed at him before closing their screens. Dr. Kim Tae-min walked onto the bridge. He was the ship's expert on alien cultures. He had spent years studying different races and how they thought. "Let me guess," he said. "They both called us weak and soft?" "Among other things," Lee replied. "It's always the same," Dr. Kim said. "They think being peaceful means being powerless." Lee looked back at the stars. Somewhere out there, Ambassador Park So-young was getting ready for the big celebration. It was humanity's 150th year in the Galactic Confederation. 150 years of keeping peace. Between races that seemed to love fighting, the humans had joined the Confederation when they were still new to space travel. The older alien races had welcomed them, but not as equals. They welcomed them as useful tools. Humans were good at talking, good at finding middle ground, good at stopping wars. So that became their job. Commander Choi Lee-jin entered the bridge. She was in charge of security for the ship. Her face was serious, as always. "Captain, I've been reading the reports from other human ships," she said. "This is the 15th border dispute this month. The aliens are fighting more often." "Or maybe we're just hearing about it more," Lee said. "No, sir, the numbers don't lie. Conflicts are up 30% from last year." Dr. Kim frowned. "That's strange. Usually, when we solve one problem, things stay quiet for a while. Not anymore." Commander Choi said, "It's like they're testing us, seeing how much we'll take." Lee didn't like that idea, but he couldn't ignore it. The aliens did seem more aggressive lately, more willing to insult humans to their faces, more quick to start fights. His communication screen lit up again. This time it was Ambassador Park So-young. She looked worried. "Captain Lee, I need to speak with you privately." Lee walked to his ready room. The door closed behind him, and he activated the secure channel. "What's wrong, Ambassador?" Park's face was pale. "We've lost contact with 3 of our colony worlds on the Outer Rim. New Sol, Byzant Station, and Incheon Prime." Lee felt cold. Those were important colonies, home to millions of humans. "When did we lose contact?" "New Sol went quiet 5 days ago. Byzant Station 3 days ago. Incheon Prime yesterday." That can't be a coincidence. No, it can't. "I've asked the Confederation Council for help. I want them to send ships to investigate." "What did they say?" Park's face got darker. "They said it's probably just equipment problems. They said we worry too much about small things." Lee couldn't believe it. 3 worlds going silent wasn't a small thing. Equipment problems? All 3 worlds? That's what they said. Council member. Zeth even laughed. He said humans panic over every little technical difficulty. Lee felt anger building in his chest. Humans had spent 150 years solving problems for the Confederation. They had stopped wars, saved lives, and kept peace. And now, when humans needed help, the Council laughed at them. "What are we going to do?" Lee asked. "I don't know yet. The Council won't give us ships or resources. They say we need to use diplomatic channels to contact our own colonies." "Diplomatic channels? How do you diplomatically contact a world that isn't answering?" "I know how it sounds, Captain, but we have to follow Confederation rules." After the call ended, Lee sat alone in his room. Outside, the Keth and Nakari were still shooting at each other. Soon, he would have to go between them and find a way to make peace. He would listen to their insults and their threats. He would smile and nod and find a compromise. And somewhere in space, 3 human worlds were silent. Lee thought about Dr. Kim's words. The aliens thought being peaceful meant being powerless. For 150 years, humans had proven them wrong by solving every problem, stopping every war, and keeping every peace. But what happened when peace wasn't enough? What happened when being diplomatic just made things worse? Lee didn't know the answer yet, but as he looked at the stars, he had a feeling he was about to find out. Captain Yoon Jae-wook didn't care what the Confederation Council said. 3 human worlds were silent, and he was going to find out why. His ship, the Starbound Dawn, was fast and well armed. More importantly, his crew was loyal. "Are you sure about this, Captain?" asked Lieutenant Nam Ha-yoon. She was his intelligence officer, smart and careful. "If the Council finds out we disobeyed orders, ... double quotes. Let them find out," Yoon said. "Those are our people out there." The Starbound Dawn jumped to hyperspace, heading for New Sol. It was the closest of the 3 silent colonies. Yoon had friends there, people he had served with in the early days. When they arrived, the system looked normal. The star was still, burning. The planets were still in their orbits. But something was wrong, very wrong. "Captain," said Ensign Park Ji-ho from the sensor station, "I'm not picking up any communication signals from New Sol." "None at all?" "No, sir. No radio. No emergency beacons. Nothing. It's like the whole planet just ... stopped." Yoon felt a chill. A planet didn't just stop. People didn't just go quiet all at once. "Take us closer." Full scan. As they got near New Sol, the truth became clear. The planet's cities were dark. The orbital stations were empty. The mining platforms that should have been harvesting resources were gone. "Captain," Lieutenant Nam said quietly, "look at this." On the main screen, she showed him what the sensors had found. The planet's surface was covered with huge holes. The mountains had been carved away. The forests were gone. It looked like someone had taken everything valuable and left only empty rock behind. Who would do this? Ensign Park asked. Someone with big ships and a lot of time, Nam replied. This didn't happen overnight. They found the first clue floating in space near the planet. It was a piece of metal from a human transport ship, but there were burn marks on it that didn't come from human weapons. These are Brutic energy blasts, Nam said, studying the damage. And these cuts, they're from Vexthari plasma tools. Yoon felt his anger growing. The Brutex and Vexthari were both members of the Confederation. They were supposed to be allies. Keep looking, he ordered. They found more pieces. Parts of buildings, destroyed vehicles, and worse things. Things that proved people had been here when the attack happened. Captain, Nam said, her voice shaking. I found something you need to see. She showed him a recording device, badly damaged but still working. When they played it, they heard the voice of Mayor Song Min Kyu from New Seoul. This is an emergency message. Unknown ships are attacking the colony. They're not here to destroy. U.S., they're taking everything. The buildings, the machines, the people. They have slave ships. I repeat, they have slave ships. If anyone receives this message, tell Earth that we, the recording cut off. Yoon stared at the screen. Slave ships. In the 24th century, someone was still taking humans as slaves. Set course for Bizen Station, he ordered. Bizen Station was worse. The space station had been completely dismantled. Every piece of metal, every circuit, every bolt had been taken. Only twisted wreckage remained, but they found something important floating in the debris. A data pod from the station's computer core. Lieutenant Nam worked for hours to recover the information inside. Captain, you need to see this, she said. Finally, the data showed everything. Ship sensor logs, communication records, security footage. The attack had been planned and organized. Multiple alien fleets working together. Ships from 6 different species, including 3 that sat on the Confederation Council. This wasn't random, Nam said. Look at the timing. They knew exactly when our patrol ships would be in other systems. They knew our security codes. They knew where our weapons were. Stored. Yoon felt sick. Someone gave them information. It gets worse, Captain. Look at this. Nam showed him intercepted communications between the alien ships. The messages were in different languages, but the computer had translated them. The humans won't fight back, one message said. They never do. They'll complain to the council and ask for negotiations. How many more can we take before they get suspicious? Asked another. It doesn't matter. Even if they suspect something, they won't act. Humans are too weak to be a real threat. The messages went on and on. The aliens were talking about humans like they were insects. Weak creatures that could be stepped on without worry. But the worst part was at the end of the data. A message from someone called the Coordinator. Phase 1 is complete. 3 test targets eliminated. Human response minimal, as predicted. Proceeding to Phase 2. Target list attached. The target list had 20 more human colonies on it. Yoon's hands shook as he read the names. Daegu Outpost, Gwangju Mining Station, Ulsan Research Base, places where millions of humans lived and worked. Sir, said Ensign Park, we need to warn them. We need to warn everyone, Yoon replied. But when they tried to send messages to Earth and the other colonies, they found their communications were being blocked. Someone was jamming their signals. We have to get back to Confederation space, Nam said. We have to tell them what we found. The journey back took 3 days. 3 days of thinking about the humans who had been taken as slaves. 3 days of wondering how long this had been going on. When they finally reached Earth, Yoon went straight to the Confederation Council. He brought all the evidence, all the recordings, all the proof. The council chamber was huge, with representatives from dozens of alien species. Ambassador Park So-young was there, looking tired and worried Yoon presented everything. He showed the destroyed colonies, played the intercepted messages, and explained about the slave ships. When he finished, the chamber was quiet for a moment. Then Council Member Zeth started laughing. Humans and their stories, Zeth said. His species looked like giant lizards with too many teeth, always making mountains out of molehills. This is proof, Yoon said. Our people were taken as slaves? Proof? Another council member, Vrex of the Nakari, made a clicking sound. These could be fake recordings. Humans are known for their creative storytelling. Fake? Yoon couldn't believe what he was hearing. 3 entire colonies are gone. Probably equipment failures, said Councillor Thane. Human technology isn't very reliable. More laughter from the chamber. Yoon felt his face getting hot. Even if something did happen, Zeth continued, I'm sure it was just a misunderstanding. You should negotiate with whoever took your people. Humans are good at negotiating, aren't they? Negotiate with slavers? See? Zeth smiled, showing awe. His teeth. You're getting emotional. This is why other species need to make the important decisions. Humans are too soft for serious matters. Yoon looked around the chamber. Not one alien species was taking this seriously. They were all smiling or laughing or looking bored. Ambassador Park stood up. What do you want us to do? Just accept that our people are being enslaved? I want you to follow proper procedures, Zeth said. File a complaint through diplomatic channels. Wait for an investigation. Be patient. How long will that take? Oh, these things take time. Maybe a few years. Maybe 10 or 20 years. We can't rush important decisions. 20 years. Yoon thought about the humans who were slaves right now, working in alien mines or worse. 20 years was a lifetime. In the meantime, Councillor Vrex added, try not to spread panic with these wild stories. The galaxy doesn't need more drama from humans. As they left the council chamber, Ambassador Park looked defeated. What do we do now? She asked. Yoon thought about the 20 colonies on the target list. He thought about the humans who were already slaves. He thought about the aliens laughing at their pain. I don't know, he said. But whatever we do, we can't count on the Confederation for help. That night, Yoon sat in his quarters reading reports from other human ships. Commander Choi had been right. Conflicts were up everywhere. And in every case, humans were caught in the middle, taking insults and abuse while trying to keep peace. It was starting to look like a pattern. Like someone was testing humanity's limits. The question was, what would happen when those limits were finally reached? Admiral Kang Minho stood in the war room, looking at the star map. Red dots marked the 20 human colonies that were in danger. Green dots showed where human fleets were stationed. There weren't enough green dots. The Confederation has made their position clear, he said to the officers around the table. They won't help us. They think this is all just a misunderstanding. Captain Lim Sunmi slammed her hand on the table. A misunderstanding? They have our people as slaves. I know, Kang said quietly. That's why we're going to get them back. Ourselves. The room went silent. Everyone knew what that meant. For 150 years, humans had followed Confederation rules. They had asked permission before acting. They had negotiated instead of fighting. But now, the rules weren't working. Sir, said Colonel Bei Wusung, if we act without Confederation approval, they might kick us out of the alliance. Let them, Kang replied. What good is an alliance that won't protect its own members? Captain Lem leaned forward. What are your orders, Admiral? We're going to rescue our people. All of them. And we're going to show the galaxy that humans aren't as soft as they think. The plan was simple. Captain Lim would take the fastest ships to Incheon Prime, the most recent colony to go silent. If they moved quickly, they might find survivors. Sergeant O Dong Hyen would lead the ground forces. He was the best soldier Kong had ever seen, tough and smart. If anyone could get humans out of alien slave camps, it was. Remember, Kong told them, we're not starting a war. We're rescuing our people, but if anyone tries to stop us, we'll stop them first, Lim finished. The rescue fleet left Earth space without telling the Confederation. 12 ships, fast and well-armed. As they traveled, they picked up more bad news. 2 more colonies had gone silent. When they reached Incheon Prime, they found the same thing Captain Yoon had found at the other worlds. Empty space where a thriving colony should have been. But this time, they were lucky. The aliens were still there. Multiple ships in the system, reported Lieutenant Kim The-rin from the sensor station. I count 15 vessels. Mixed species. They're... Oh God, what is it? Captain Lim asked. They have cargo ships full of people, Captain. Humans. They're loading them like ... like goods. Lim felt her blood turn to ice. Below them, thousands of humans were being forced onto alien ships. Men, women, children, her people. Battle stations. She ordered. The aliens didn't expect a fight. They had been taking humans for months without any resistance. When the human ships attacked, the aliens were caught completely off guard. The battle was short and one-sided. Human ships moved faster and hit harder than the aliens expected. Within minutes, 3 alien vessels were destroyed, and the rest were trying to run. Don't let them escape, Lim ordered. We need to know who's behind this. Sergeant O's teams boarded the alien ships. What they found there would stay with them forever. The cargo holds were packed with humans in metal cages. They were thin and dirty, with marks on their bodies from alien tools. Some had been there so long they were afraid to come out when the doors opened. Please, one man whispered to O, don't hurt us anymore. We're human, O said gently. We're here to take you home. The man started crying. You came for us? We thought nobody would come. O felt his heart break. These people had been slaves for months, and they thought nobody cared enough to rescue them. But the worst was yet to come. In the command ship, they found the alien computers. Lieutenant Nam, who had come with the rescue fleet, worked to decrypt the files. Sergeant, she called, you need to see this. The files were full of information about humans. Not just military information, but personal details. How humans thought. How they acted. What made them angry, or sad, or afraid. They've been studying us, Nam said, for years. Maybe decades. One file was labeled Human Psychology, Project Pacification. Inside were detailed reports about human behavior. Subject species shows remarkable tolerance for abuse, one report said. Even when attacked directly, humans will attempt negotiation rather than retaliation. This makes them ideal for long-term exploitation. Another report was worse. Humans can be conditioned to accept slavery if introduced gradually. Begin with small raids, then increase frequency. Humans will adapt to each new level of abuse as the new normal. Oh, read the files with growing horror. The aliens hadn't just been stealing humans. They had been experimenting on them, testing how much abuse humans would take before they fought back. There's more, Nam said. She showed him a communication log. Messages between different alien species, all coordinating attacks on human space. The betting pools are getting larger. One message said, species across the galaxy are placing wagers on when humans will finally break. My money says never, replied another. Humans are too weak. They'll negotiate until there are no humans left to negotiate for. The messages went on and on. Aliens making jokes about human weakness. Aliens betting on how many colonies they could destroy before humans got angry. Aliens treating the enslavement of entire worlds like a game. O felt something break inside. Him, All his life, he had been proud of humanity's reputation as peacemakers. He had believed that being diplomatic made humans better than other species. But now he saw the truth. The aliens didn't respect human diplomacy. They saw it as weakness. They were laughing at humanity's kindness. "Sir," Nam said quietly, "there's one more thing." She showed him the final file. It was labeled Final Phase, Complete Subjugation. The plan was simple and horrible. The aliens would keep taking human colonies until humans had no choice but to surrender completely. Then all of humanity would become slaves, working for alien masters forever. "They've done this before," Nam said. 17 other species. The same pattern every time. Small attacks, then bigger ones, until the target species gives up. O thought about the humans in the cargo holds. People who had been beaten and starved and worked until they were barely alive. People who thought nobody would come to save them. He thought about the aliens laughing as they planned to enslave every human in the galaxy. He thought about 150 years of humanity trying to be peaceful, trying to be reasonable, trying to be better than their violent instincts. And he realized that sometimes being better meant being willing to fight. The rescue was interrupted by alarms. More alien ships were coming. A lot more. "Captain," Lieutenant Kim reported, "I count 30 ships approaching. They're demanding we return the stolen property." "Stolen property?" Lim asked. "The human slaves, Captain. They want us to give them back." The alien commander appeared on the communication screen. He looked like a cross between a shark and a spider, with too many eyes and teeth. "Human vessels," he said in perfect English. "You have taken property that belongs to us. Return the cargo immediately, or face the consequences." "Those are people, not cargo," Lim replied. The alien laughed. "People? These are work units. Slaves. They belong to us now." "Not anymore. Look how the pets bite," the alien commander announced to his fleet, broadcasting on open channels. "The humans think they can fight. Soon we'll train this aggression out of them too." More laughter from the alien ships. They were still treating this like a joke. That was their mistake. Captain Lim opened a secure channel to Admiral Kang, back on Earth. "Admiral, we have the survivors from Incheon Prime. But sir, you need to know what we found here." When she finished her report, there was a long silence. "Admiral?" she asked. "I heard you, Captain. All of it." Another pause. "Admiral Kang to all human vessels," came the announcement across the fleet. "Effective immediately, all diplomatic protocols are suspended. We are withdrawing from the Galactic Confederation." Lim felt her heart stop. Leaving the Confederation meant humanity would be alone in the galaxy. "Furthermore," Kang continued, "any species that has participated in attacks on human colonies or the enslavement of human citizens is now considered hostile. Respond accordingly." The alien commander was still laughing when the human ships opened fire. This time, the battle lasted longer. The aliens had more ships, but they still thought they were fighting weak, peaceful humans. They learned too late. At peaceful and defenseless were not the same thing. When it was over, the alien fleet was scattered and broken. The survivors limped away, no longer laughing. Sergeant O stood in the rescued cargo ship, looking at the humans they had saved. Children who had never seen sunshine. Adults who flinched when anyone came near them. People who had been treated like animals for so long, they had almost forgotten they were human. "Don't worry," he told them. "You're safe now, and nobody will ever hurt you again." One little girl looked up at him with big, scared eyes. "Promise?" she whispered. O knelt down to her level. "I promise. And if anyone tries, we'll stop them." For the first time in months, the little girl smiled. But O knew this was just the beginning. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They had pushed humanity too far. They had hurt human children. And now they were going to learn what happened when humans finally lost their temper. Fleet Admiral Jung Hyan-Soo had been waiting for this day for 40 years. Not hoping for it, not wanting it, but preparing for it. Because he had always known that eventually humanity's patience would run out. The alien coalition that had been tormenting human space for decades was about to learn a hard lesson. Being peaceful didn't mean being weak. And humans who chose not to fight were very different from humans who couldn't fight. Status report, Jung ordered as he walked onto the bridge of the New Sol, humanity's largest battleship. All fleets are in position, Admiral, reported Captain Bei Yunji. She commanded the stealth division, ships that had been watching alien movements for years while pretending to be simple cargo vessels. The enemy? Jung asked. Confident, sir. Their communications are full of jokes about putting the humans back in their place. They think this will be easy. Jung almost smiled. Almost. The alien coalition had gathered the largest fleet in galactic history. Ships from dozens of species, all united in their desire to crush humanity once and for all. They outnumbered the human fleet 10-1. On paper, it looked hopeless, but Admiral Jung knew something the aliens didn't. For 150 years, while humanity had been playing peacekeeper in the galaxy, they had also been preparing for war. Every diplomatic mission had been a chance to study alien technology. Every trade agreement had been an opportunity to map alien defenses. Every peace treaty had given humans access to alien military secrets. The humans had been gathering intelligence, while the aliens thought they were just being friendly. Captain Bei, status on Operation Mirror? All stealth ships are in position, Admiral. The aliens still don't know we're there. For decades, human merchant ships had been traveling through alien space. The aliens had ignored them, thinking humans were just harmless traders. They never realized that every one of those ships was actually a military scout, mapping defense networks and studying alien weaknesses. Colonel Park Jinwoo, are your forces ready? Colonel Park commanded the human special forces. His soldiers had trained for years in combat techniques that no alien species had ever seen. While other races fought in predictable patterns, humans had learned to be creative. Ready, sir. The alien commanders are using the same battle formations they've used for centuries. They have no idea what's coming. Jung looked at the tactical display. The alien fleet was massive, but it was also overconfident. They were approaching human space like they were going to a celebration, not a battle. Open a channel to the enemy. Fleet, Jung ordered. The main screen lit up with the face of Admiral Zeth, the same alien who had laughed at human suffering in the Confederation Council. His lizard-like features were twisted in an ugly grin. Admiral Jung, Zeth said mockingly. Still playing soldier? Your little rescue mission was amusing, but now it's time for the adults to take control. You have one chance, Jung replied calmly. Leave human space immediately and release all human prisoners. Zeth laughed so hard his whole body shook. Or, what? You'll negotiate us to death? No, Jung said quietly. We'll do something we haven't done in 150 years. And what's that? We'll stop being nice. The communication cut off. Around the bridge, Jung's officers watched the alien fleet approaching. None of them looked worried. They had been preparing for this moment their entire careers. All ships, Jung announced on the fleet-wide channel. You know what those aliens did to our people. You've seen the slave camps, the destroyed colonies, the children in cages. Today, we show them that humans are not prey. The first phase of the battle began with Captain Bei's stealth ships. The aliens never saw them coming. One moment their rear guard was intact. The next moment 12 alien ships had simply disappeared. How? Admiral Zeth screamed over the communications. Where did they come from? Jung didn't answer. He was too busy watching the second phase begin. Colonel Park's boarding teams had been hiding in the debris of destroyed human colonies. When the alien fleet passed by, thinking the wreckage was harmless, Park's soldiers launched their attack. But they didn't fight like any enemy the aliens had ever faced. Instead of charging forward in straight lines, the humans moved like shadows. They hit the aliens from directions that should have been impossible. They used the aliens' own ships against them, turning their weapons and defenses into traps. "Admiral," reported Captain Lim's son Mi from the starbound Victory, "enemy formation is breaking apart. They don't know how to respond to our tactics." Jung watched as the alien fleet, so confident just minutes before, began to panic. Their commanders were shouting contradictory orders. Their ships were crashing into each other. They had never faced an enemy that fought with human creativity and unpredictability. Phase 3, Jung ordered. This was the part he had hoped they would never need. For 150 years, humans had kept their best technology secret. While they traded simple goods with the aliens, they had been developing weapons and defenses that no other species could imagine. Human ships suddenly became faster, their shields stronger, their weapons more accurate. What had looked like an impossible fight became a massacre. "Impossible," Zeth yelled as his flagship shook under human fire. "Your technology isn't this advanced." "You never asked," Jung replied. The truth was devastating. While the aliens had spent centuries fighting each other with the same old weapons and tactics, humans had been innovating. They had been thinking of new ways to win battles, new ways to protect their people, new ways to end conflicts quickly and decisively. The aliens had assumed that because humans chose peace, they were incapable of war. They were wrong. "Admiral," Captain Bay reported, "enemy fleet is down to 60% strength and falling. They're trying to retreat. Let some of them go," Jung ordered, "but not all." He opened a channel to the surviving alien ships. "This is Admiral Jung to all alien vessels. You came here to enslave humanity. You failed. Now you have a choice. Surrender immediately and face trial for your crimes, or try to run and face the consequences." Most of the alien ships tried to run. They didn't make it far. Human ships that had been hiding throughout the galaxy suddenly appeared. The aliens realized with horror that they were surrounded. While they had been gathering their great fleet, humans had been moving into position around them. "You planned this," Seth gasped as his ship was boarded by Colonel Park's soldiers. "For how long?" "Since the day we joined the Confederation," Jung replied. "We hoped we would never need these plans. But we knew that someday someone would push us too far." The battle was over in 6 hours. The largest alien fleet in galactic history had been destroyed by ships they thought were weak and defenseless. But Jung wasn't finished. All human fleets. "This is Admiral Jung. Phase 4 is now active. Target list Alpha through Zeta. You know what to do." Across the galaxy, human ships that had been pretending to be simple cargo vessels suddenly revealed their true nature. They struck at alien military bases, slave processing centers, and command stations. Decades of intelligence gathering paid off as humans hit targets the aliens didn't even know were vulnerable. Within days, the alien military infrastructure that had taken centuries to build was in ruins. Slave camps were liberated. Stolen resources were recovered. War criminals were captured. The galaxy watched in shock as humanity did something no one thought possible. They didn't just win a defensive battle. They dismantled the entire system that had been oppressing not just humans, but dozens of other species. And they did it without becoming monsters themselves. "Admiral," Captain Lim asked, "what about the Confederation Council? They're demanding we stop and return to negotiations." Jung looked at the tactical display. Human fleets were liberating slave worlds across 3 sectors. Alien species that had laughed at human weakness were now begging for mercy. "Tell the Council that humanity is no longer interested in negotiating with slavers," he said. "We tried their way for 150 years. Now we do things our way." On the main screen, a new message appeared. It was from the liberated colony of New Sol, now free from alien control. "Admiral Jung," said Governor Ru Dahai, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you. Thank you for not abandoning us." "We never abandon our own," Jung replied. "That's what makes us human." Across the galaxy, other species were beginning to understand a new truth. Humans weren't weak because they chose peace. They were strong enough to choose when peace was appropriate and when it wasn't. And they had just chosen war. The aliens who had thought humans were easy prey were learning that they had made the worst mistake in galactic history. They had hurt human children. Now they would face the consequences. President Han Mi-young stood before the newly formed Human Republic Council, looking out at representatives from every human world. The old Earth government was gone, replaced by something stronger, something that would never again let humanity's children be sold into slavery. "The galaxy has seen what happens when humans lose their temper," she said. "Now they will see what happens when we decide to build something better." 6 months had passed since Admiral Jung's fleets had shattered the alien coalition. The military. Victory had been swift and decisive, but President Han knew that winning battles was easier than building peace. "Ma'am," said her aide, Colonel Lee Young-ho, "Admiral Song is ready to give his report." Admiral Song Woo-jin entered the chamber. He commanded the Liberation Fleet, the human forces that were freeing enslaved populations across the galaxy. His face was tired but determined. "Status report, Admiral," President Han said. "We've liberated 847 worlds so far," Song replied. "Not just human colonies, but alien planets that were being exploited by the same species that attacked us. We've freed approximately 2.3 billion sentient beings from slavery." President Han nodded. This was the part that surprised the galaxy the most. Humans hadn't just rescued their own people. They had freed every slave they could find, regardless of species. Resistance? Minimal. Most of the former slave-owning governments collapsed after we destroyed their military forces. The few that are still fighting are learning the same lesson. Their allies learned. And reconstruction? Dr. Cho Sang-hoon stepped forward. He was in charge of rebuilding the worlds that had been strip-mined and devastated by alien exploitation. "Faster than expected," he said. "Our new technology is working better than we hoped. We can restore a damaged ecosystem in months instead of decades." The galaxy was discovering that human weakness had hidden incredible technological advancement. While aliens had spent centuries perfecting ways to destroy and exploit, humans had been developing ways to heal and rebuild. "The former slave populations are responding well to liberation," Dr. Cho continued. "Many species are asking to join the Human Republic as protected members." This was another surprise for the galaxy. The Human Republic wasn't interested in conquest or domination. Instead, they offered protection and partnership to any species that wanted to live in peace. "What about the Confederation?" President Han asked. Admiral Song's expression darkened. "They're still demanding that we return to the negotiating table. They want us to discuss appropriate reparations for the damage we've caused." President Han almost laughed. The same aliens who had ignored human suffering for decades were now concerned about property, damage to slave camps and military bases. Our response? We told them that any species that participated in enslaving humans or other sentient beings can discuss reparations with their victims. We're not negotiating on behalf of the people they hurt. The door opened and Captain Jung. Jae-wook entered. He had been investigating the full scope of the slavery network that had targeted humanity. "Ma'am," he said, We've finished analyzing the data from the alien computers. The scope is larger than we thought. How large? 17 species have been completely enslaved over the past 1,000 years. Humans would have been the 18th. The aliens have been using the same pattern for centuries. President Han felt a chill. 17 entire species turned into slaves because they had tried to be peaceful. What happened to them? Most are extinct now, worked to death in alien mines and factories. A few populations survived in hidden colonies. We're trying to find them. This was why the Human Republic couldn't simply go back to the old ways. The galaxy wasn't just dangerous for humans. It was dangerous for anyone who chose peace over violence. Captain, I want you to keep searching. Every enslaved population, every hidden colony, every survivor. We find them all. Yes, ma'am. After the meeting, President Han walked to her office window. Outside, she could see the construction of New Geneva, the capital of the Human Republic. The city was being built with help from dozens of species that had been freed from slavery. Her communicator buzzed. It was Admiral Jung, calling from the frontier. Ma'am, we have a situation. What kind of situation, Admiral? The Keth Empire and the Nakari Syndicate are fighting again. A border dispute over some mining rights. They're asking for human mediation. President Han sighed. Even after everything that had happened, some aliens still didn't understand how. Much things had changed. What did you tell them? I told them that humans don't mediate for species that supported the slave trade. If they want to fight, that's their choice. But if they attack any Republic worlds or our protected species, we'll stop them permanently. And their response? They're very angry. They say humans have become arrogant and aggressive. They want the old humans back, the ones who would solve their problems for them. President Han looked out at the city being built by free beings working together. The old humans trusted the galaxy to be fair. They learned that trust was misplaced. Ma'am, there's something else. We're detecting alien fleet movements in the outer sectors. It looks like some of the former Confederation members are planning something. Let me guess. They want to restore order to the galaxy. That's what their communications suggest. They think if they can defeat us militarily, they can go back to the old system. President Han shook her head. After everything they had seen, after all the evidence of what the old system had done, some aliens still wanted to bring back slavery and exploitation. Admiral, I want you to send a message to every alien government in the galaxy. Make sure they understand our position clearly. What message, ma'am? Tell them that the Human Republic has no interest in ruling the galaxy. We don't want their worlds, their resources, or their submission. All we want is for every sentient being to have the right to live free from slavery and oppression. And if they refuse? President Han thought about the human children who had been born in alien slave camps. She thought about the 17 species that had been worked to death because they trusted the galaxy to be fair. Then they'll learn what Admiral Jung's fleets learned. Humans are very good at keeping the peace, but we're even better at ending wars. The message went out across the galaxy that same day. The response was immediate and predictable. Some species agreed to the new order and asked to join the Republic as partners. Others declared war on humanity and its allies. The wars didn't last long. 3 years later, the galaxy was more peaceful than it had been in 1,000 years. The Human Republic protected dozens of species from exploitation. Trade flowed freely between worlds that had once been enemies. Scientific knowledge was shared instead of hoarded. President Han stood in the same office, but now the view outside showed a thriving interstellar city. Humans worked alongside aliens who had chosen freedom over conquest. Dr. Cho entered with his daily report. Ma'am, we've successfully restored the ecosystem on Kepler 442b. The Minari people are returning to their homeworld for the first time in 200 years. Any problems? None. They're so grateful to be free that they've offered to share their agricultural technology with us. Apparently, they developed some amazing farming techniques while they were in hiding. This was how the human republic worked. Instead of demanding tribute or obedience, they offered protection and partnership. Free species contributed what they could and took what they needed. "Ma'am," said Colonel Lay, "we have a communication from the Confederation Council. They want to discuss terms for humanity's return to the Alliance." President Han looked at the message. The same aliens who had laughed at human suffering were now offering humanity a seat on the ruling council. They promised humans equal status and real influence in galactic affairs. "What should I tell them?" Colonel Lee asked. "Tell them we're not interested in ruling over other species. But if they want to join a galaxy where everyone is free and equal, they know where to find us. And if they refuse?" President Han looked out at the city again. Children of a dozen different species were playing together in the parks. Adults who had been slaves just a few years ago were now scientists, artists, and teachers. Then they can explain to their own people why they prefer the old system of slavery and exploitation to this. That evening, President Han received a call from Admiral Jung. He was now in charge of the Galactic Monitoring Service, the human organization that watched for signs of new slave traders or aggressive empires. "Ma'am, I have some interesting news. We've been monitoring communications across the galaxy, and something has changed." "What kind of change?" "Species that used to settle disputes with violence are trying negotiation first. Planets that used to exploit their neighbors are offering trade agreements instead. It's like the whole galaxy is trying to avoid getting our attention." President Han smiled. "Good, that was the point. There's something else. We found the last of the hidden colonies from the extinct species. The Eltari people have been hiding in asteroid fields for 300 years. When we told them they were free to return home, their leader asked me something interesting." "What did he ask?" "He asked if humans were angels." President Han felt her throat tighten. "What did you tell him?" "I told him that humans were just people who got tired of watching. Bad things happen to good beings." After the call ended, President Han walked to her personal quarters.